Hello everyone and welcome you all to another chapter of the Blend Shell tutorial. So now we are on our chapter number 6 where we'll be learning about orientation and also about parenting. So we'll be learning how all of this option actually works. So let's not waste time and let's get started. So over here, as you guys can see, now I'm here in the workspace of the Blender. Okay, so now the first thing what I need to do is basically, if you guys know that if I come here, if I click on this particular cube or this object here in this screen, and now if I do want to change up the location, okay, you guys can see I can basically move it up the y-axis. Okay, I can also move it up the z-axis right over here. Okay, and here you guys can see this is how you guys will be able to move. Okay, let's move on the y-axis a little bit. So here, according to this particular line, it is basically moving. Okay, so as you guys can see right over here, and if you want to increase the size, you guys will be able to increase the scale as well. Okay, so now here you guys can see if I am decreasing it, it will decrease on the x-axis. But now here, if I come here and if I try to move the z-axis here, also in the downside, you guys can see it is extending on the down part here as well. Okay, but now what I want to do is I want to just keep this particular thing right over here. Okay, like this particular base over here, and I want to change the axis. Okay, so for that what I'll do is if I come here, let's come here to the global option. Okay, so from here now if I change the axis, if you want to see it more clearly, you guys can click here on the move option, and let's say if you want to move up and down, here you guys can see you guys can basically move it up and down from here. And also if you want to scale it, let's say I want to scale this z-axis. Okay, you guys can come here and basically like this you guys will be able to change the z-axis right over here. Okay, so now if you come here and let's say if you just increase the x-axis, here you guys can see it is decreasing on the x-axis right over here. And now if you change the y-axis, you guys can see now it is actually changing on the y-axis itself. Okay, and here you guys can see this is the z-axis, so you guys can come here and basically move it like that. So here you need to come here in the transform options if you want to do some local ones. So come here, select this one, and now if you change it, here you guys can see now you will be able to change it towards the size. Okay, so you guys can come here and let's say if you want to move it from freehand, you guys can come here and you guys can basically move freehand as well. Okay, so come here, let's take this particular tool, and now let's select the move tool, and now if you just scale it up, you guys can see how it actually helps you to scale it up right over here. Okay, so you guys can actually make some orientations quite like this. Let's move the location quite over here. Okay, so let's come here and let's put it quite right over here. And now let's say here you do have used the local option and the global option. So basically I would love to use the global option over here, because using the global option you guys will be able to make some stunning designs and some stunning placements you'll be able to find. Okay, so if you want to give some rotation, I have already told you guys about the shortcut key, which is R. Okay, so now here you guys can see after clicking R, I can give this thing up a rotation. Okay, so let's say I want to come here and I want to give this thing up a rotation quite like this. This is how you guys can actually save this 3D model right over here. Okay, and here I have already told you about this add cube option. If you want to add up any cube right over here, you guys can come here and add up any cubes quite like this. Okay, so come here and let's say I will just position it quite like this. And over here, if you want to have the camera view, you guys can come here and you guys can actually change the camera view from here also. Okay, so you guys can come here and you guys can actually change the camera view. So we'll be learning about this one later into our class when we move deeper into our classes. So now let's come here, let's view it from the same angle in which I was looking. So over here you guys can see now I do have made this particular design Okay, right over here you guys can see. Now let's say if you don't want to go to the global and local again and again. Okay, so now let me also come here and let me create another shape. Okay, so for that I will come here, I will go to the add option. So I will come here to the add option. Let's go to mesh, and from here I will create a cylinder. Okay, so if you come here, and now as I have made one cylinder, if you just increase its size, here you guys can see how it actually moves on to the x-axis. Okay, and if you come right over here, okay, let's say if I just change the y-axis, here you guys can see it's actually looking that it is changing from the x-axis. Okay, and here if you move the z-axis, here you guys can see, you guys will feel that it is actually changing from the x-axis. Okay, so here you guys can see. Now the same way, if instead of global, if I come here and select the local, and now if I just increase the size, here you guys can see now it's scaling according to the x-axis. And if I just scale it the y-axis over here, you guys can see it is actually working from the y-axis as well. And if you want to increase the size, here you guys can see it's changing from the z-axis as well. Okay, so now again, if you come here, if you give the global option, and now if you try to change, here you guys can see it's showing that you are just changing it from the y-axis. Okay, so over here you guys can see now you guys can actually change, or you guys might think that it's changing from the z-axis. Okay, so you guys can select here, and also you guys can just decrease the z-axis from here as well. Okay, so this is how it looks if you want to rotate this thing down, and if you want to see how this particular model looks from all the angles, you guys can come here and check the angle here as well. If you want to move out this one, you guys can come here and maybe take a bit far. And now again, to view every component, come here and select frame all. Okay, so over here you guys can see now if I want to see the camera angle, you guys can see the camera angle looks quite like this. So I will just go back right over here again. So here what you need to do is, if you don't want to go to this option again and again, is you come here, and what you need to do is you need to click on the comma key from your keyboard. Okay, so once you click on the comma key over here, you guys will be able to change from global to local or anything as such. Okay, so you guys will be able to select the transformation orientations from here. Okay, so now what I'll do is I'll come here and I will just select all of these objects. Okay, so you guys can come here and select all of it. Let's say I want to just delete this one, and now let's come here and make up a selection and delete this one from here as well. Okay, so now let's say I will come here and I want to take my cursor, or the 3D cursor, and let's place it somewhere over here. Okay, so I will just place my 3D cursor somewhere over here, and now I will click on Shift A. Let's go to mesh, and let's create one cylinder over here as well. Okay, so now if you just zoom in, let's bring my hand tool over here. Let's just bring it quite like this, and now I will just keep it here in the center, and now I will just zoom in right over here as well. Okay, so now over here you guys can see this one is basically here in the x-axis over here. Now if you want to change the mode, let's go to the local, and from here now what I'll do is I will just scale this one up. Okay, so I can just scale it up towards the x-axis, and also I will just scale it up towards the y-axis as well, and here you guys can scale it up in the z-axis. Okay, so this is how it actually looks. Let's come here, let's put it over here in the center, and now what you want to do is you want to actually transform this one, but over here you don't want to view it. Okay, like if you do any transformation also, this cursor will be back over here at the center again. So in that case you guys need to go to object, and I have showed you how you will be able to clear. Let's say I want to clear the location. So now if I just zoom out here, you guys can see this is coming exactly at the world transform orientation center. Okay, so here you guys can see the global center, it's coming. Okay, and now if you don't want that way, let's click on Ctrl Z to go back. And now let's say what you want to do is you want to come here and you want to click here on apply, and over here you guys can click on location. Okay, so there they will be basically showing that from where this particular thing was generated. Okay, so if you come here and let's say I will just come here and I will just select the selection tool, and now I will just click on G and I will just move it right over here. Okay, so I'll just move this thing right over here, and now let's take this cursor and I will just move it up somewhere here as well. Okay, so now let's move it somewhere here. Let's take my selection tool, and now if I click here and let's click on add option or this object, and here I will click on apply, and from here if I just click on location, here you guys can see you guys can give this up a location, or here if you want to give this one up a rotation, you guys can actually give this one up a rotation as well. So now let's select this, let's click on object, and over here now I will click on apply, and here I will give this one up a rotation. Okay, now I can click on R, and over here you guys can see it is giving a rotation from the center itself. Okay, so not here in the own object. Okay, so if you do have this type of keys in so many dimensions, suppose you do have the work where you do have different kind of dimensions, so if you want to follow one x-axis or if you want to follow one y-axis, you guys can come here and you guys can actually follow this rotation option from here. Okay, so as you have just pasted this one over here by clicking on the left button of your mouse. So now what I'll do is I'll come here and let's say the same way what I want to do is I want to go to object, and from here now I will go to apply, and from here let's say if I do want to scale it, I can come here and basically I will be able to scale it from here. Okay, so now if I just click on S, here you guys can see from this particular starting here it is actually scaling. Okay, so over here I am just only following one line, so if you want to come here increase or decrease, you guys can do that. The same way if you click on R, it will basically rotate from the center as I have selected the local option. And the same way if you come here and let's go with the global, let's come here and the same way if I click on object, let's go to apply and let's select a rotation option, and now if I just click on R, over here you guys can see how it actually gives you up a rotation. Okay, so now if you want to change the x-axis, you guys can come here and basically change the x-axis, so using the hand tool over here. Now let's just move on the hand. Okay, you guys come here and just scale it up over here in the center as well. Okay, so now let's come here, let's put it over here in the center, and if you want to zoom out, you guys can come here and zoom out from here as well. Okay, so I have already told you guys, if you just click on Ctrl A, from here also you do have the option from where you will be able to choose the scaling, the rotation and the location option as well. Okay, so now let's take my move tool from here, and what I'll do is I'll come here and I will be able to move this thing. Okay, so over here I will just select the move tool, keep this thing right over here, and also over here I can come here and I can just check out the rotation. So let's give this one up a 90 degrees rotation. Okay, so let's come here and now let's type 90. Okay, so I will come here 90 in the x-axis, and over here you guys can see now if I just zoom out, here it had given a rotation of 90 degrees over here in one side. Okay, so I can come here and now if I do want to scale it up, I can come here and I can basically scale it up from here as well. Let's say if you do want to increase the size, here you guys can see now you will be able to increase the size or will be able to scale it up from here. If you come here, change the location, let's come here, let's change the location quite like this over here, and now let's come here, let's select local. Okay, let's go to global, let's select the local option, and from here now you guys can see I can basically align this one. Okay, so here if you want to scale it in the y-axis, you guys can come here and basically you guys will be able to scale it with the local y-axis. Okay, so come here, let's take my hand tool and now let's give this thing up a rotation. Okay, so now if you want to apply rotation, you guys can come here, let's go to object, select apply, and here you guys can actually give this thing up a rotation. So you guys can come here, and now if you just change the rotation here, you guys can see from this particular move point, okay, you guys are giving up a rotation. But the same way, if you want to give it from here in the middle, what you can do is you guys can just come here, select the cursor. Okay, so select the cursor over here, and now you guys can select and keep this thing here in the center. Okay, so now if you just click on R, and over here you guys can see as this one is the generating point. Okay, so as this one is basically the generating point, it will give a rotation from this particular angle. So you can also turn it off. Okay, you guys can come here, and you guys can actually go to clear, and from here you guys can actually go to clear location. Let's go to object again, and from here let's click on the scale option as well, and also let's come here and let's go to clear the rotation option. Okay, so you guys can come here and apply all of these things over here as well. So now over here, I will make another cube. Let's click on Shift and A. And over here, I do have the cube option. Okay, and if I want to scale it up, I can come here and I can just scale it up over here in the X-axis. Let's scale it up in the Y-axis over here as well. And also here in the Z-axis. Okay, so if I do want to make some kind of floor over here, let's just increase it on the X-axis. So now as you guys can see, now if I just take here and if I just bring it up quite over here on top, and now what I want to do is I want to keep this thing over here in the middle, the 3D cursor. Okay, so now again I will select the select box option. Okay, so now if I just zoom in and I can also zoom out, let's say now what I want to do is you guys want to do some parenting. Okay, like if you just put up this object over here on top, both of these things will basically move all together. Okay, so how you will be able to do that? So the first thing, I'll select this object. Let's take this cylinder and now just change its location. Okay, so come here and maybe change it to 10. Okay, so let's come here, let's change it to 10, and now I want to bring it more. Okay, so you guys can just come here, hover over, and just put it over here on top. Okay, so you guys can come here and let's change the Y-axis over here as well. Okay, so now come here and just put this thing over here on top, and now you guys can just select the Z-axis. Okay, so now if you come here, let's just move it up a little bit over here. Take your time to do these things. Okay, these are basically the basics. Okay, so you guys need to make sure that you guys take your time. And let's say for rotation, I will put 90 over here. Okay, so I will just put 90, but this one is basically coming down. Okay, so come here, select this one, and now let's just zoom in. Let's take my hand tool, and now over here, if I want to place it right over here on top, okay, I can come here and let's say I will just change the X-axis. Okay, so come here and just select the X-axis, and now you guys can just put this one here down as well. Okay, so come here and change the Z-axis from here. Okay, so I will just come here and I'll just change the Z-axis and maybe place it quite over here. Let's take the hand tool, and now here you guys can see in one side I am able to put this thing, and now let's say I will come here and let's change the Y-axis from here. Let's say I want to view these things quite like this right over here. Okay, and also I will want to change the Z-axis. Okay, so come here, let's come and try to check the Z-axis from this particular place. Okay, and now just make sure that you just change the transformation. Okay, so come here, go to the location and try to place it over here in the middle. Let's go to the Y-axis, and now let's change the Z-axis as well. Okay, here in the transformation option. So now let's come here, let's just go back, and from here this is how it actually looks. Okay, and in the same way, if you want to come here and put on other objects, you guys can do that. Okay, so come here, let's select the cursor and let's put it right over here. And now if you want to add up a cube, you guys can come here and let's say using Shift and A, you guys will put on some mesh. Let's go on with a cube. Okay, so you guys can come here, put up a cube, and you guys can actually increase the size. Okay, so let's go to scale from here, and now you guys can basically increase it to the x-axis and also through the y and the z-axis as well. Okay, so come here, and from here you guys can actually place it quite over here. Okay, so now if you want it to move, okay, so now let's see, let's check out the view. Okay, so this is how my particular model basically looks. Okay, so this is the model which I have just made, and now you will be able to change it individually. Let's say if you select this one, if you want to move, you guys can actually move this one from here. Okay, but if I want to parent, let's say this is basically the base. Okay, and now first what I need to do is I need to come here, select this top icon, and over here using shift I will select this part as well, and also this down part I will select at last. And what I'll do is I will click on Control P. Okay, so as I have clicked on Control P, here you guys can see I do have the option of set parent to object. Okay, so if I click here on object, and now if I change or transform, here you guys can see the whole thing is basically transforming. If you come here, if you want to scale it up, you guys can come here, and basically the whole thing will be scaled up and down. Okay, so now using this one, let's select all of it, and I can just increase or decrease the size all quite over here. Okay, all together. And if you want to ungroup again, what you can do is you guys can go to object, and from object you guys can come and you guys can go to this option called parents. Okay, so here you guys can see the parent option, and now if you want to clear parent, you guys can come here and click on clear parent, but make sure you click on the clear and keep transformation option. So I will come here and I will just keep on the transformation, but now I am individually able to change its rotation, its position, or its scaling over here. You guys can see now it is an individual object, not as a whole. Okay, so this is how you guys can actually select more than one object and place it here with one. Okay, and now let's say what I'll do is, again, I want to parent it, so I will just come here, select all of it. Okay, let's come here and let's select this one first, and the base at the last. Okay, so make sure to do that, because once you select the base for the last, that time what will happen is it will automatically take the last selected one as the parent. Okay, so over here you guys can also go to relations, and from relations you guys can come here into the parent option, and over here you guys can actually select. Okay, so which one you guys can come here and basically name this thing all around as well. Let's come here and let's name this one as the base. Okay, so I will name this one as the base, and now let's select this one, and now this one is actually the cylinder, and let's come here and let's select this one and let's name this one as the cube. Okay, so I will just name this as the cube, and I'll click on enter. And what I can do now is let's select the cube, let's select the cylinder, and now at last I will select the base. Okay, and now if I go to my object, and from here let's go to parent, and from parent what I can do is I can click on object over here, and over here you guys can see under the base over here I do have all these two options, which is the cube 3, and here you guys can see under the base I do have all of these things. Okay, so here you guys can see, okay, if you just click on base, here you do have the cube, and after that you have the cylinder. Okay, so if you want to make this cylinder and another object, okay, you guys will be able to do it from this offset panel as well. You guys need to just select this one, drag and move it here down. Okay, so now this one is again an individual object. If you come here, if you move on the rotation, you guys will be able to see. Okay, so you guys can come here if you want to get up a 3D view. You guys click here onto this object, and from here you guys can zoom in and zoom out to that particular object over here as well. Okay, so come here, let's take the move option, and now if you take the rotation, okay, you guys can come here and you guys can change the y-axis. Okay, so you guys can come here. Let's see the y-axis from this side. And now what you can do is you guys can come here, select this one as individual. And now if you want to scale it up, you guys can come here and you guys can basically scale it up here as well. And if you want to give this thing up a rotation, you guys can come here and give this up a rotation from here itself. Okay, so come here, place it right over here. And now if you want to view it from another angle, you guys can come here and you guys can view it from the y-axis. Let's come here and let's just change this one. Okay, let's come here, let's select this particular option, the cursor. Okay, and now make sure that you put out the cursor right here at the center. Okay, so I will just select this one here at the center. And now if I want to scale, let's say I want to scale it, here you guys can see how you will be able to scale it. And also if you want to transform, in that case click on G, and over here you guys can come and transform it quite like this. Okay, so you guys can come here now, select this option, and using this y-axis, let's come here and get a view of this whole object over here. Okay, so you guys can come here and place it, and if you want to group it all here again, you guys can come here, select this, let's click on shift and let's select this part. And lastly what I'll do is I will come here, select this, this and this, and I will just make one parent again. Okay, control P. Okay, over here now you guys can see again I do have it under the base. Okay, so under base you guys can see I do have the cube over here, and also I do have the cylinder right over here. And if you want to bring it back again, you guys can come here, select this particular option, and you guys can just move it here in the base as well. Okay, so now again this is back here at the base. So if you just click on to the base option, let's come here, let's select the base option, and now if you want to scale it, you guys can click on S, and from here you guys can actually increase the size. Okay, so if you come here and if you click on S, and using S you guys can actually increase the size of the whole object. Okay, so now again let's move the x-axis over here. Okay, let's move the x-axis and let's move the y-axis as well. Okay, so let's come here, let's move the y-axis from here, and if you want to zoom out, control minus to zoom out over here as well. Okay, so here you guys can see this is my 3D animation. Okay, over here you guys can actually play around with all of these objects and make some things right over here. I have also told you about this, how you will be able to add cube, make your own dimensions, but here I have talked about how you will be able to do parenting, and also how you will be able to do the orientation. Okay, so here we have learned about transform orientations. So yeah, I hope you guys have understood this class, and also about the relations options. So from here also you will be able to do the parenting. So if you come here, let's take the base from here, and from here now if you click on parent, here you guys can select what you want its parent to be. Okay, let's come here, let's take this cylinder, and here you guys can see the parent is the base. And if you come here, here also you guys can see for this particular cube the parent is base over here, and from here you guys can actually change the parent type. So I had select object over here, and that is quite perfect for my usage. So yeah, I hope to see you all in the next chapter, where we'll be learning more about Blender in detail. Okay, so I have showed you guys few other options just to get started with making some stunning designs over here. So see you all in the next chapter. Till then, take care and goodbye everyone.